I'm back, y'all, once again. Bad News Brown. Once again, before I get started, go ahead and hit that like and please subscribe. Now, in this video, I'm going to go down a little rabbit hole and speak on some current events that's been taking place regarding a bunch of conspiracy theories or what have you. And I just want to touch on a few things, so follow me. Now, the first thing, if you don't know or not, conspiracies are the norm, not the exception. And honestly, the truth is stranger than fiction. But let me continue. Well, the first thing, well, it's funny because it seemed like all the the local or the recent revelations been, regarding how should I put it? I don't want to get, the P word, the pedo word. And let me touch on that. The first thing I want to speak on, of course, the boxer Ryan Garcia and the recent statements he's been making. Now, the first thing I want to say about that is, honestly, man, hey, if you don't want to fight Devin Haney, just say that. But, it honestly appears like there's something more to it. And I'm not speaking specifically what he said just yet. I'm just saying as far as where his mental space is. Now, could this all be an act just to try to get out the fight? Yeah, it could be. But at the same time, it's kind of like you saying some stuff that somebody in your position shouldn't be saying. Now, certain accusations that he made is regarding him personally. I truly hope he not playing with that. And if that is the case, that's definitely ain't cool. And the places he mentioned, Bohemian Grove or whatnot, all that's true. Legend has it. That place do exist. And some of the things he said, unfortunately, has been known to go down there. And that's a rabbit hole in itself. I actually can't elaborate on that. Maybe I need to get a Patreon for that, or I might just do it on here. What the hell? If I'm allowed. But anyway, all bullshit aside, he obviously ain't in the right headspace. But hey, man, if you don't want to fight Devin Haney, man, just say that. But since he did mention things of that nature, that goes to the whole nature boy thing. He just got life now. Some people would say he was framed or whatever, but this my thing. From what I hear, being the cloth he was cut from, that has already been previously happened within that group, allegedly, whether it's true or not. So in my opinion, it's on first face value, bruh, and him, Brother Polite, the same thing. That's the last thing y'all need to be caught up for or even putting yourself in that position. But that goes to being at this the information age. A lot of people, they're learning stuff new. Then you got people manipulating certain knowledge and using it to their personal gain when it comes to certain cults and stuff. And see, when I spit my truth, my ism, I do it from a genuine place. See, my thing, I look at it like this, but like for the whole nature boys and them types, man, if you wanted to be a polygamist or a player, just be a player, just be a pimp. Don't try to use the ism or the truth or the conscious community to do that. If you want to get money, man, hustle. Be a swindler, but don't do it like that. It's like I said, that's kind of no different than these preachers. And unfortunately, the whole sick twisted thinking, especially when it comes to the whole um the mallets, that all that kind of, if you notice, it's a pattern between certain people or ways of life or certain positions or certain what have you. It seems to be a pattern. So I just kind of wanted to get y'all to connect the dots on that, just that alone. But back to the whole Ryan Garcia thing. See, my thing is this: none of this information is new, and these are, in my opinion, entry level people that's involved in this. Of course, there's a lot bigger names. So just like the Epstein's was mentioned in that whole list and his whole island or whatever. So it's a lot big names is involved in a whole lot of stuff. And what it seemed like to me is you got different people at the top that's clashing, different groups, no different than on a lower level, basically high powered gangs. And they snitching on each other, it seemed like, uncovering each other dirt. And then as far as the whole celebrities talking, that a lot of that is just really for attention, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, not all, but a lot of it, they gotta say or do something to stay relevant. But Ryan Garcia, he really he surprised me speaking on that. Like, yeah, either something going on, bruh. Like I don't really know what to say because, mental health, that's a serious issue. And I don't know if he doped up or, but if it's some truth, and I'm speaking on what he talking about, the personal stuff he having, and they made him watch, like, I don't know, like, if in fact that did happen, did that just recently happen, or is this something that took place a long time ago? Something you probably should have been mentioned if in fact that's the case. But who am I to say, when it's the right time for somebody to address what didn't happen to them? But a lot of this is weird, and part of me one is trying to think is just propaganda. It's a means to this end. He's trying to get out that good fight. Man, a lot of it is, yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking about, just for him to say that. But, since, like I said, it's a trend of a lot of that going on now, the P. Diddy meat meal, and a lot of this stuff I don't really too much care about because it's bigger situations other than sick, twisted people in high places are doing. Don't get me wrong, it affects us all, especially when they talk about the little ones. And I'm going to address that. And this is why we need to, and this is why I'm going back to the whole Black Power movement being on black, because that's when the community organized. And if community organized, no child left behind, situations like this wouldn't be as prevalent because children will be accounted for, people will be accounted for. So you just won't be having all this, you know what I mean? And then, like I was saying, you won't just have all this sick, twisted people. Don't get me wrong, you're going to have evil people, but they will be more easily to be identified and weeded out. But since you got a ascendancy of so much negativity, then you got drugs, then you got propaganda being bombarded, a lot of stuff is kind of getting lost in the sauce, and it's room for evil to operate. I'm gonna put it like that. So people need to organize and address certain issues, the ones we've been having when it comes to hate, racism, crooked police to crooked lawmakers to crooked everybody. Them type of people need to be identified and weeded out. When you got a society that's promoting that type of activity, that's what unfortunately what we gonna see. And that's where it comes to us, is really just getting a hold of the things to talk about now. Like I said, a lot of that stuff can be a distraction, especially when it's talk about the celebrity gossip, they throwing they smut. Don't get me wrong, all that's good to know certain stuff. But we don't, I ain't saying we don't care, but yeah, that's cool to know that type of stuff they put you through the ringer when you got to go through Hollywood, going through the doors and all this and that. But now, like I said, what we gonna do about that youngster down south that they just found hung? What they gonna do about that youngster that was attacked, in Southern California? What we gonna do about stuff like that? What we gonna do about, hell, immigration? What we gonna do about the home, those problems that, from year on to year out, it don't go nowhere. It's the same as it ever was, same since the 60s. What we gonna do about all that? I think once we start solving them problems, it'll probably be less and less, sick psychotic people being produced on the assembly line of society. But right now, the whole assembly line is tainted. And I'm just gonna put it simply like that. Don't get me wrong, I ain't trying to blame no individual crime or act on society, but we know what promotes it even will make a person, regardless of how sick and demented they thoughts are, feel comfortable to try to act it out. That's where, I'm trying to address it. And even if they do, the punishments needs to be so severe to whereas, yeah, you better not think about doing that. But I just kind of wanted to address what's been happening lately in the recent talk about all that. And again, people eyes are gonna be open, but again, don't get lost in the sauce. It's a lot more important issues you need to be worried about regarding other than who's sleeping with who. And don't get me wrong, all that's good to know. Trust me, with that P. Diddy, man, if he did all that and it look like a lot of it is, man, you got what you got coming to you, and that's how the universe works. That's, you call it karma or whatever, life got a way of righting certain wrongs a lot of times. So that's pretty much what I gotta say about old boy. And like I said, he ain't the only one. The whole Meek Mill, whether or not that's true, man, that's highly weird, man. And people want to get in them clubs and that fame, man, they gonna have to not put on a uniform but take off the uniform. But anyway, man, I just kind of wanted to tap in and give my little thoughts on that, my initial thoughts on the Ryan Garcia and the whole Nature Boy and the P. Diddy. People can't be using that knowledge, man, in the wrong way, man. If you want to be a player and have all, man, just be a pimp. Don't use the knowledge and then you dealing and all that other stuff, extra stuff. Whether you was framed or not, we gotta learn from the mistakes of those before us, and this applies to me too on in other aspects. Not, of course, not on that, but in other aspects. Bad News Brown breaking it down for y'all, man. Go ahead and hit that like once again, and like I said, man, I'll elaborate on that whole Bohemian Grove if y'all want me to. I can really go in. I probably should really go in on that, and I know I will. And I already have actually before years ago. This ain't nothing new, man. I've been spoke on this, but again, I'm obviously gonna have to reiterate for the next generations and really put the the proper details on that from what I know from my research. Of course, I don't know. I ain't never been there. But yeah, man. Peace.